I like to connect and map the seasonal landscape with the nervous system as though they're kind of like mirrors of each other. And so we have the 4 different seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And each landscape has a felt sense and a kind of an expression of of how the landscape of each season expresses itself, right? So right now in North Carolina, we're in the winter season, and there's kind of this felt sense of cloud cover that comes in, and there's this landscape of gray and browns, different tones of browns, and everything's really quiet, right? It's very quiet. We're kind of drawing our energy in, slowing down. And so when we combine the parasympathetic nervous system with our social engagement ventral system, right, when we combine these two branches, we get a felt sense of silence, of stillness, of slowness, right? This kind of drawing in, reflecting, contemplating, right? And so this is kind of what the winter season also evokes for us. And what it can also evoke when we're in a place where it feels a little bit more imbalance, or when we live on that window of tolerance, when we live below the window of tolerance into hypo-arousal, we start to kind of draw into a little bit more of a collapse, exhaustion, right? A sense of hopelessness or despair, right? And then we really start to feel a felt sense of shutdown and collapse, right? And so that's kind of, this is also known as, the freeze response, right? So that kind of freeze response comes in, which is very fitting with winter, right? When we're in that winter, things go into freeze, specifically, reptiles and reptilians, right? Who kind of, which is connected to our dorsal vagus nerve, that kind of more ancient kind of survival strategy, if you will. And what happens, is that the reptilian friends, the frogs and the turtles, kind of start to slow everything down, right, and go into that place of freeze until, spring emerges and the warmth returns. And so this is kind of what's happening in our nervous system, and the winter season can really evoke this for folks, especially if our nervous systems tend to lean more towards dorsal, towards shutdown. Then the winter season can be a more challenging time for people. And so today's practice, I want to really kind of work with some somatic movement, gentle somatic movement. And movement really supports that kind of dorsal shutdown to slowly warm up, right? So when we come out from a really cold winter day, and our tips of our fingers might start feeling a little numb, a little cold, and then we start to come into the warmth of the house, everything starts to, just by emerging into the warmth, there's a little tingling sensations in our fingertips, right? And things start to warm up, and at first it can be a little painful, right? Until we start to move and kind of stretch. And so that the movement stimulates this kind of sense of warming, right, into the joints, into the muscles, especially when we live in more of a dorsal, that can really support our nervous system to come back into regulation and stabilization. So in today's practice, we're going to work with some somatic movement, some gentle somatic movement, and a felt sense of posture. So we're going to kind of lift the posture to just support a little bit more of a alert kind of place. And so we're going to combine those two mainly, and then we're going to work with some rhythm. Okay, so I'm Michelle Rozek, and I'm your Eco-Somatic guide, and I'm here to guide you to healing trauma by reconnecting with the earth and with your bodies. So let's get started. Go ahead and begin to find yourself in a standing posture. And you can, again, do this outside, inside, whatever is your preference. Obviously being outside really just supports some of that extra ventral stimulation of looking out and feeling the earth and smelling the air. And, so our senses are a little bit more engaged. But if you're inside, that's fine too. So just come into a standing posture. So let's start by coming into a standing posture. And again, ideally you could do this with your feet touching the earth or with shoes on. I have shoes on right now, but feel free to take a moment to really take off your shoes and feel the earth if it's tolerable, if it's not too cold, and if it's a good time of the year. So we're going to start by just feeling into our standing posture. So just take a moment to just kind of get a felt sense. So start by bringing the attention and awareness down into the heels, and make any adjustments. Feel the hips, feel your hips, sensing the balance between your right hip and your left hip. And then drawing your awareness down to your heels, to your right foot, and to your left foot. So you can do this with your eyes open or closed. I have mine closed right now just to start. As we just orient and come into our standing posture. So we're drawing our attention in towards our standing posture. And just notice how the natural posture wants to be. Does the shoulders folded in, or do they come out? Notice the pelvis. Does it want to tilt back, forward? Does it feel neutral? So just get a felt sense of what's going to feel most comfortable to just start. And then start to bring the awareness down towards your feet. So your right foot and your left foot. And just see if you can trace with your mind's eye the edge of your entire foot. The edge of your entire foot, both sides, right and left. And then begin to just kind of fold and curl on the insides of the toes towards your big toes. So curl onto the inside of the foot towards your big toes. So the knees will naturally come in slightly. And just feel that. Just go ahead and feel that. Feel that tilt in the foot. And then just rotate. So we're going to rotate in a circle. Rotate into the toes, just gently, a little forward movement, and then wrapping around the outside of the foot along the pinky toes, and then all the way behind the heels. So again, notice I'm barely moving, and I'm just tracing the edge of my toe by pressing in like I'm tracing a circle around my toes, around my foot. So just start here. So just do this a few times, wrapping around to the inside of the arch of the foot along the big toe, coming towards the forward, pressing the toes all in, and then rounding to the outside of the foot, and then around to the heels. And so we're just creating a little bit of balance and stabilization of the feet. So feel the feet close to the earth, close to the floor, and you're just tracing. Just feel this kind of slow tracing of your foot at the edge, from the front to the side the back to the inside. Good, do one more and then come back to a neutral standing posture. And just notice what it's like to feel your feet now. Feel your feet now. Feel your heels. Feel the arches. Feel the balls of the feet. And see if you can feel a balance between the heel and the ball of the foot. And notice your legs. Make sure that your knees are not locking or your hips. Right, so we want to keep things kind of fluid, right? So we don't want to freeze those joints, right? We want to keep everything kind of loose and warm. And just begin to go ahead and feel the kind of circular motion. Now we're going to bring the hips in with the tracing of the feet. So we're going to move as a unit here. And you're going to sense the outside of the foot with the whole body. We're just going to do a little circle with the whole body. And very gentle, again, see where the edge of your circle is. We don't want to lose balance. See where the edge of your circle, and if you do lose balance, that's fine. There's where your edge is, right? So now we're just moving around in a circle with our feet and our body. Right, so you'll feel it into the pelvis as well. Right, so feel it into the pelvis, the hips, as we start to move. Right, and if your eyes are closed, you can keep your eyes closed. You can oscillate your gaze in and out. Right, we're still moving very slowly. We are going to increase slowly in just a moment. Good. So now we're going to create a little bit of rhythm. So go ahead and just kind of drop the hip back and forth. So now we're going to drop the hip back and forth as we do our circle. And it's almost like a figure eight here. So we're kind of figuring eight around, back and forth. And we're going to create a little rhythm. Right, so now we're warming up all of our joints, those knees, those hips, right, the feet. Right, so we're warming things up, moving slowly and gently, and yet still feeling the stabilization of the feet. So we really want to feel that stabilization of the earth, right, feeling our balance, and then moving rhythmically. Okay, so gentle movement as we warm everything up. And just notice your breathing as you do this. So breathe in and out. Feel your rhythm. Sense your pacing. Notice if you want to go nice and slow. So let's be with the winter landscape inside and just feel the slowness. Feel the slowness, the quiet, right? Just a gentle, slow movement. And then as we were becoming more connected to your rhythm, feeling your rhythm, right, go ahead and lift into the chest. So we want the spine to lift, and we're feeling ourselves kind of open up a little bit more into our chest, right? And you can exaggerate it a little bit. So we want to kind of open things up into the chest, lift the shoulders and the chin. So this really supports when we're in a felt sense of collapse and shutdown. We naturally kind of want to curl in and get small, and we want to kind of counter that by lifting the posture, right? Opening the shoulders, and then moving, Right, so we're working with that dorsal kind of vagus shutdown by gentle, slight movement, lifting the posture and warming up the joints, warming up the muscles, and feeling the rhythm, feel the rhythm. All right, so we got to feel it in the hips. All right, feel it in the hips, feel it in the knees. All right, so now you're just flowing. You're just playing. Playing, flowing, what feels good. You can do circles. Right, you can just move back and forth, swaying back and forth. Right, rocking front to back. Right, rocking front to back. So take a moment to really just feel into what feels good for you. Feel into your own rhythm. Noticing your breath, lifting your spine, warming up those joints. Notice the pacing that feels good. You might increase, and then you might decrease. And then you might oscillate your gaze in and out. Look around. Feel the space. Right? Feel the space. When we're in a kind of a dorsal shutdown, space is really important to feel. Feel the space around us. So we're going to be here for a few more moments. Just feeling it out. Right? Combining movement, somatic movement, rhythm, and posture, right, to support us in this wintry landscape when we're in more of a dorsal, vagus, freeze state or shutdown. Good, so take a few more circles and rhythms. Go ahead and stretch the shoulders. And then when you're ready, start to slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. We're going to come to a stop in just a moment. So come slow it down. And then come down all the way until you pause. Just pause. And just from this place, go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Lift that posture. Feel your heels rooting down into the ground. Breathe up into the chest, lifting the chest and the shoulders. Feeling the heels of the earth. So we're lifting in the chest and we're descending into the earth through our heels, through our feet. And we're just breathing into our lungs, taking a few deep breaths. And just notice. Notice what it's like to be in the body now. You might sense a subtle, subtle warmth inside. Notice that warmth. Notice the energy, the flow of energy. Notice fluidity amongst the joints. And just feel your breath, space all around you. And if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open them and look around. Look around. Feel the space. Look around the space. If you're outside, look up at the sky. Right? If you're in your room, looking around, sensing the dimension of the ceiling. Just take a nice deep breath. Okay. Thanks for joining me for this somatic movement practice. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you all again.